Morgan has requested me on Patreon to review The Christmas Star, which was a made-for-television movie that aired in 1986 as part of the Disney Sunday Movie on ABC. I'd actually never even heard of this until it was included on Disney+, and I think it's neat when the service adds these semi-forgotten television movies because it allows you to discover a gem you might not have otherwise come across. And The Christmas Star is a solid little holiday movie. The premise primarily involves an escaped prisoner named Horace who hides out by pretending to be Santa Claus. At a certain point, you know he's eventually going to become a better person, but the journey taken there is well done, and the character development is nicely written. Ed Asner plays the role and does a great job of showing his gradual change of heart. After this movie, he would play Santa several more times, most famously in Elf, so it's also funny seeing him play someone disguising himself as Kris Kringle. There are a couple of other storylines in this movie, and the filmmakers did a good job of giving them the proper time. There are the two children who help Horace, and they have a solid rapport with him. Even though the younger sister has the usual mannerisms of those sorts of cutesy child characters, she never becomes annoying, and even gets a few funny moments. There's also the boy next door who finds a lost dog who he cannot keep because of his miserly father. In fact, let's talk about his father. He's played by Rene Abajonas, who I most know for playing the creator of the Gadget chip in the live-action Inspector Gadget movie. I know he was also in Star Trek Deep Space Nine and MASH and was the voice of the chef in The Little Mermaid. But if you've been watching me long enough, it should be little surprise Dr. Bradford is the role I'm most associated with. Anyway, his character in The Christmas Star is probably one of the most hateful characters I've seen in any Christmas movie. Even Ebenezer Scrooge and Hans Gruber would look at him and think he takes things too far. Think Mrs. Deagle from Gremlins, but somehow 10 times more horrible. Mr. Sumner is a landlord who is terrible to his tenants and treats his son with so much contempt. Kudos to Abajonas for making him someone we despise whenever he shows up on screen. He does later change his tune a la Scrooge, but I felt his transformation to a better person happened a little too quickly, especially since most of it happens off-screen. But this is a 90-minute movie, and there was only so much time, I guess. A standout in The Christmas Star is the detective on Horace's trail, played by Fred Gwynne. He gets his own subplot of just wanting to celebrate Christmas with his family, but his need to catch the man he put away years ago takes importance, and we see the frustration this causes him. I like that they don't glam up his detective work, as so much of it involves sitting at the desk and waiting for the telephone to ring with information. Gwynne was one of those actors who had an incredibly expressive face, and he makes excellent use of it here as he wants so much for Horace to finally be caught so he can get home to his family. For what is a low-budget television movie, director Alan Shapiro gave it a lot of atmosphere, and there's a particularly great scene on an empty train, where Horace finally faces his demons. It's not the kind of scene you might expect in a Christmas movie intended to entertain families on television, but it becomes one of the best moments of the movie, with Asner finding the right reactions. Of course, the movie does end on a sentimental note, and it is well earned, providing that warm-hearted holiday feeling, but without becoming cloying or overly syrupy. Over the course of the story, there is a growing sympathy for this family, a young neighbor, and the fake Santa Claus hiding in the basement. It's easy to bind him wanting to help these children, and the boy being constantly abused by his father, and there are a few gut-wrenching sequences that show up. This is the only Alan Shapiro movie I've watched, and looking at his filmography, I was surprised he had not done much. Before this, he directed the baseball movie Tiger Town, which has the distinction of being the first film produced for the Disney Channel. His first theatrical feature was a psychological thriller titled The Crush, and he then directed Flipper with Elijah Wood and Paul Hogan. After that, his credits suddenly stopped, but he would apparently later become a professor at the USC School of Cinematic Arts. In any case, I think he did a nice job with The Christmas Star, and I'm glad its inclusion on Disney Plus could bring it to my attention and others. I wish the service would add more of these Disney Sunday movies and other films produced for the Disney Anthology show, because those are surprisingly lacking on there. Anyway, if you've seen The Christmas Star, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Morgan.